Leroy, great to see you. Thanks for taking a bit of time to come and have a chat. Always appreciate that because I know people are busy. Let me start by asking you about something that you mentioned last time we were talking. You were saying that you'd been recruiting and you had 8,000 people apply for some jobs with you. I mean, that's an extraordinary number. I mean, tell us, what's the story there?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I didn't expect to have that many people apply. But yeah, but even now when we're not hiring, especially not hiring for those sort of sales roles, we still get an influx of people applying to work at Pidgey. Often the feedback we get is that, they live in an area where there are lots of businesses. They don't think they're making as much money as they could do. They really want to help their own local areas, local businesses, and that Pidgey really solves a problem that they want to be part of helping to fix, which is making these local shops become global sellers.
Okay. I mean, that's an extraordinary idea. Just give us a sense of how that works. I mean, just explain it for people that haven't come across your business. Let me just explain how that works.
So, from the perspective of a merchant, I mean, Pidgey is an AI shipping assistant, and we help people to um, instantly become a global seller, and we do that by all of the slightly trickier technical issues that would prevent you from becoming a global seller, we fix those for you immediately. So one of them might be that you're unable to accept payments from anyone. So we fix that. You can accept contactless payment,
Yeah.
QR scan, normal credit card payments. The delivering of your products to another country as well. That's another major issue and with customs. So you get instant quotes for that particular route. We're a multi-carrier, so you get the best quote from different
Right.
shipping carriers. And then also we make sure that the whole customs scenario is taken care of for you. So you're not going to go back and forth answering customers as to why they haven't had their product yet through the post. And then also, whenever you create an account on Pidgey as a business, it instantly creates an e-commerce store for you as well. So whether it's
Mm.
finding you on our map on the app and then when they're near to you, or whether they're just going online on our website, on our marketplace online, they can find you on there as well. So without needing to set up a separate website or an e-commerce space, you just create an account, list a product, you're immediately on our e-commerce platform, attracting more international customers, and you getting it to them. You don't need to set anything else up. It will just everything's done for you in that process.
I mean, it's an extraordinary business model. Tell me about where the idea came from, because that's not the world that I mean, you're not. You didn't spend your entire career in that world, did you?
Not at all. No, my background is capital markets, investment banking, stockbroking, trading. But as part of that, the investment bank side, I was traveling around maybe 70 flights a year at one point, and every single time I flew somewhere, I wanted to buy something that I thought would look great at home, my living room or my kitchen. But I never did. I never did that transaction because too big to carry home, too big, too awkward, too fragile to carry home. And when they said to me, "Don't worry, you can just pay for it. I'll call DHL or someone," and have it sent to you, I had to then trust them. It's a trust issue, and I'm sure they were a very trustworthy person. But I need to trust that they're going to get the right quote for me. DHL is not necessarily going to be the right quote for my particular route from there. And then also, I need to know that when I pay them, it's probably going to be a lot of money. It's not going to be something cheap. That they're not going to just put the money in their pocket, put it back on the shelf, and say, "Thanks very much, Leroy. Never going to see you again. Nothing I can do about it." So I had a really good thing about, well, for me as a customer, what would it take for me to convert from someone who's browsing into an actual paying customer? Because the demand was there. I know for myself, and everyone I speak to who travels has either had the same scenario and maybe bought it, or they've had the same scenario and not bought it. It's a really, really common issue. So the demand is really obvious to everyone. It was trying to fix it for the merchant in a way that the merchant can understand. And that the only way you can really figure that out, aside from having good UX people, is just going out on the ground, speaking to merchants, speaking to customers, and building something around them. And that's what we started to do.
Yeah. And let me ask you, I mean, I always like to ask this to entrepreneurs that have come into a new sector. I mean, what is it that I mean, you clearly found a problem that you wanted to work on, and obviously quite a widespread problem by the sounds of things. Tell me about what you brought from outside. I mean, how did your experience in places like the capital markets and investment banking. I mean, how did that help you build the thing that you've built?
So the two way my brain works, the two things I'm always thinking of are making something systematic, making something leverageable or scalable, almost the same thing in a way. And so I had to immediately think, well, how can we make money from this? So we figured out some really good ways of maximizing the revenue that we can make. But then I had to think about how we can distribute this as well in a way that doesn't, where the unit economics make sense. So the math is always what's really important to me. If it doesn't make mathematical sense, not just as the transaction, but the encouragement to transact again and become a lifelong customer, and also the size of the market. Those are really important things to me. So all of those data points and interests were always things that I've done heavily throughout my career, both as in capital markets and as an entrepreneur as well. And so, I'm a person that loves a spreadsheet, historically as well. I love making these interactive spreadsheets that do their own thing, connecting to the right data. And that's what I did here at every single stage. I made these interactive spreadsheets which pulled the data that I needed to make sure the market's still there, to make sure that if we do X, Y is the result. That's why I like to figure things out. So we kind of categorically can say it's not just my feeling about it. We're proving a hypothesis that it does work, and we keep on retesting it all the time. So for me, that was it. I know lots of entrepreneurs you have to be extremely passionate, and you have to be a little bit delusional, or very delusional, to build something that doesn't exist just yet. But having that kind of mathematical, economic perspective of making sure we're on the right path at every turn is very, very important to me, and that's something that's I've brought along with
And what
myself.
is it that made you opt out of, the capital markets world and investment banking world and become an entrepreneur? Because it's a pretty big shift. And you may have had to give up a pretty good salary, I would have thought.
Um, well, I just exited from a couple of things actually, at more or less the same time when I started this business when I started Pidgee. So I had a bit of money and spare time, I guess. So I had some time to think about stuff. I wasn't really stressing too much about the finances at the time when I started Pidgee. And in fairness, I needed to find a bit of purpose. To be all honest, I was really upset actually that my business partner and I had exited. We've been working really really hard on something, and we did that thing that only an entrepreneur that's exited can relate to. You don't need to stress anymore about money, but now you're really upset about it because you've lost your purpose. So I
Yes.
had to find a new purpose and take new risks, and that's why I found myself here starting Pidgey.
Now, a lot of the entrepreneurs I talk to will say that building a business is a bit like riding a roller coaster. There are good days and days that aren't so good. I mean, what is it that gets you out of bed every day to ride this particular roller coaster that you're on currently?
I'm a highly motivated person. It doesn't really take much for me to get up and dedicate my whole day to things, day and night. I've always been that way, I guess. Whether I'm working for someone else or working for me, the as long as I'm being engaged in the right way, you'll get the maximum out of me. It's very easy when you're the entrepreneur because you're deciding whether your decisions are good or bad. You're making the decisions on where your day should go. So being motivated as an entrepreneur is very, very easy compared to working for someone else. Um, but yeah, I'm not here trying to be the kind of hero of the emerging market, but do I can see how we can affect the lives of people, whether they're businesses in the UK or they're businesses in Africa or in Asia. And that does add some extra motivation, some extra good feels to know that I can take someone from earning $300 to earning $3,000 when they had no chance of doing so before, but they had the ability to do so. That does add to the motivation as well. That does make me feel that, you know, it's not just numbers on a spreadsheet, it's lives that are being affected for the positive.
Mm. I mean, that's the thing that people forget about business, isn't it? Is that business is about creating jobs and wealth and employment and all the rest of it. And, that's one of the reasons why business is so important. And people forget
Yeah,
that. Often business is portrayed in a quite a negative light, but you're absolutely right. It creates those things. No, nothing else does. Let me
yeah,
ask you
yeah.
about the hard miles. One of the things that interests me about successful entrepreneurs is that they find a way to kind of push through, to get past the red lights. I mean, what's your take on that kind of problem? Because I mean, the entrepreneurs I speak to can give you big long lists of all the challenges and problems they've had to deal with. What's your take on dealing with those things on a daily basis?
I think I learned very young that tomorrow will still come. So even if you have an extremely bad day or you're just receiving a never-ending list of rejections and no's, you're still going to be here tomorrow unless you quit. So the only decision you can do that prevents you having a chance is quitting. So as long as you never quit, and quitting is not the same as pivoting, you can pivot and pivot and pivot and pivot till it works. As long as you just refuse that quitting is an option, inevitably at some point, your work will pay off, not because you necessarily deserve it or don't deserve it. That's just actually probability. That's just how probability works. It's the same thing with trading on the stock market. Probability, probability. You're going, as long as you keep hammering away and keep slightly improving, luck will change. You will catch a break, and it's up to you to A, see that it's changed, to catch that wave, and to surf it really. Some people don't are unable to see the luck's change for them and they miss it sometimes. But if you're good at catching that wave, then it will work out inevitably at some point.
Yeah, and it's keeping the mindset focused on that, isn't it? That is half, part of the battle. I always think it's staying positive about things when things go horribly wrong or whatever. Let me ask you about working with other people. I mean, are you somebody that likes working with other people? So that's one question. And what is it that you like about that? And also, I mean, the second part of the question is, I mean, building any business means bringing people in. I mean, you may not need thousands of them, but quite often you need people to help you. I mean, how do you get, do you like working with other people, and how do you get the right people on the bus?
Um, yeah, I do like working with other people. I can be a little bit particular about who I work with,
Mm,
about their energy and their and some roles are a lot easier to work with certain kinds of people um, than others. Yeah, I do enjoy working with people. People, when I've put the idea of Pidgey past them, people 9 times out of 10 are actually really interested
yeah.
um, in working with Pidgey. I understand it from a business and a human point of view. So it's never been that difficult persuading people to work with Pidgey and join this mission and take it and become very passionate about it as well. And the thing is, I don't want people working with me in anything, especially this, which means so much, if they don't enjoy it. Um,
Mm,
and
yeah.
I'm realistic. I don't expect people to hi, here's this new thing, suddenly find passion in it. I don't expect that. Um, but I try and look people in the eye and catch on the kind of the non-verbals communication from them about what their feelings are and things. And yeah, and the people that we've got on the team, they are extremely passionate about it. I see that I don't ask anyone to work long hours on the weekends, but I go on Slack and I see that people are still working away at midnight on a Saturday sometimes because they're really deep into what we're building or that particular feature that we're building. It means a lot to them. And I guess I treat people how I like to be treated. I just want people to enjoy what they're doing, so I know that means they will do a better job at it. Um, and I like to be just a really straightforward person. I don't try and be too clandestine. People generally know what I feel about them and what I feel about things. You don't need to second guess me too much as well when it comes to working with me. I'm very clear. But I like to make sure that we're all motivated. I make sure I'm motivated, they're motivated. If the words and the signals I'm getting from them are not saying that, my first point of call is to figure out, well, why isn't it? And then maybe it's just not for them sometimes as well.
Yeah, I mean, not everything's right for everybody, is it? And let me ask you about getting decisions made. I mean, one of the things that strikes me about businesses like yours that are fast moving, there's a lot of change happening, a lot of stuff going on. I mean, that's great, but it makes getting decision making, it makes decision, or it can make decision making quite tricky. I mean, how do you feel about those sort of decision making processes? What sort of things work in your situation?
Um, because I'm a sole, I've got people on the board, but I'm a sole founder. I make decisions very, very quickly.
Mm.
Um, I'm like a ship. I just set off. I don't, because I see every decision as an experiment. We're a startup. People confuse a startup for a business. We're not a business. We're a startup, and that means we are running as many experiments as we're like scientists. We're running as many experiments as possible. Whichever ones work, we put more effort, time, and money into. Simple as that. I don't need to fall in love with an experiment at all because I can't predict which ones are going to work. That's something that happens very easily in marketing, happens in kind of a user experience and the products you're putting out. Um, and with all of those sort of things, I just push out experiments constantly and just see which ones stick. The market needs to always decide, not me. When it comes to more corporate level decisions, I will inevitably make good and bad decisions. That's just it is what it is. I mean, I've been involved in so many historical businesses in some sense that I hope that my decision making is based on those experiences and is not terrible. But the market's a breathing, living thing. It's always changing. What might have been the ideal decision you've made on a corporate level 2 years ago might end up being a terrible decision in the future. And it is what it is. I don't really cry over it, lose sleepless nights over it. I just want to act to change it wherever we need to.
Yeah, so a very strong kind of action focused
Yeah,
bias towards action is what you're saying, isn't it, really?
very, very, very much.
Let me ask you about customers. I mean, what does a good customer look like to you?
So a good customer for us, and just to separate as well between the word I like to use the word client and customer. Customer being the end customer who's buying from one of our merchants. We're B2B, so therefore the client is someone who's going to sell to their customer. So a kind of a good client for us is someone who has a product, sells products that are um, maybe large, a little bit expensive, awkward or fragile, are unique, even better, really good when it's either unique to their region, like something that's Balinese, only buying Bali, or something that's unique because they're an artist and only they've made that thing. We like those unique products as well. And then someone who sells internationally, they can sell domestically, that's fine, but really our superpower is helping people send things internationally because we have such a good customs support system in what we've built here. So we can really help with that. And we hear so many nightmare stories of people receiving something somewhere and the customs cost was so expensive they had to send it back. Gets stuck in customs and no one knows where it is. But with us, they don't need to even worry about any of that. If it's happening, we're there to fix it. And we create um, things that help them get it through customs much more efficiently as well. So
Mm.
that really is our kind of superpower. So that's the ideal customer profile for us, and they have to have the aspiration as well. The majority of companies that sell products don't sell internationally, so they have to have the aspiration. Either they're doing it now and it's not quite working for them, uh, they want to start selling internationally as well.
Yeah, yeah. So you're looking for people that really want to grow their businesses. Um,
Big time.
and in terms of relationships, I mean, business has traditionally always been about relationships. I mean, how do you go about building productive relationships with those clients? I mean, how do you do that, given that you're all over the planet?
Um, so but when we were in Bali, when we were really testing out the pilots of this business, I put together a small team of junior beginner salespeople. We went around loads of shops in person, and I found it really easy because I'm a foreigner there, so they just saw me as like a tourist. They're thinking what they can sell to me. So it was very easy for me to kind of crack the initial conversation with them, and I really really enjoyed it actually. Um, Speaking to lots of shop owners and really getting to know their business and their culture and what they're doing, and seeing their eyes light up and be excited about what we were talking about. So I don't find it too difficult to form relationships with clients. Clients give us really nice testimonials, either written occasionally video ones as well, which I had a few recently, which is really, we deeply appreciate that to go to those lengths and that effort. Um, and yeah, I just keep up, it's you do have to kind of figure out the line between business and personal. And I do end up becoming friends with lots of even some of our earliest. There's a gentleman in Bali, one of our earliest sign-ons, who I still speak to now, and his English is not so great, so it can be a little bit slow between us. And he sells really cool brass and copper products.
Oh,
Um, and he did a testimonial for us as well ages ago, and we still talk. He still speaks to some of our guys in Bali, and we always try and see, right, where can we help you here? Where can we help to promote his business? Where can we get him more sales? So yeah, it's fun. It is a bit like making friends sometimes.
yeah, yeah. And has your business evolved? Has it gone into lots of different markets and working with different kind of cultures? Doing business in Singapore is very different from doing business in, I don't know, London or whatever. I mean, has that had an impact on the way you've sort of scaled up?
Definitely. And so the part of the reason why we had the sales academy and the salespeople in different regions is because we wanted them to understand their culture, understand their market, understand that language, and therefore cut through the fat for us. But then it's not just about the locations, it's about the type of market. So recently we've been delving into the UK artist, creator, and art gallery market, which is a different look, even with our branding. So in originally, we had lots of bright blues and pinks to capture people's attention of tourists when they're walking past,
Mhm.
but that doesn't really cut it with the art space. They need something a bit more sophisticated that speaks to them. So we always melding and molding our kind of underlying branding a bit to suit the market we're going into, and that sales process is different as well. Whereas onboarding offline stores in person just means a salesperson knocking on the door perhaps and then going through our sales process with them in person, which may include seeing them a couple of times compared to in the UK, you might put out a campaign to get people to book a meeting
Mm.
with me or one of the other guys in the team to just go through our software as like a demo, so let's see how it works for them. Because it can be difficult to explain the 360 of how this can be used, but they might use one bit of it. They might just use the app, but they're missing out on plugging it into all these other sorts of things. So yeah, it's a different process, different market. My vision is that, we will, I don't feel like we've even begun to crack the tourist market at all. We're like a tiny percentage of it. But we will crack hopefully this art and gallery market. I'll have a team of SDRs whose job is to work on that. Then we'll move on to another market. We will adjust to what we think suits and works there. And this underlying product, the the value proposition is so useful in so many different markets.
Mm.
The upside, no matter what predictions I give of how much money this business can make, it doesn't touch the sides of how much money this business can make, to be honest with you. There are so many verticals that we can hit as long as we do them well and build that market out, that with relatively low overheads can generate really, really big upside in different markets.
Mm. And you mentioned about doing it well. I mean, one of the big challenges when you scale a business is hanging on to that high quality experience, which you can often do with a small team, but becomes a bit more problematic if you're in lots and lots and lots of different jurisdictions. I mean,
Yeah.
what's your take on how you maintain that kind of quality, that doing it well, so that customers still have users have a great experience? I mean, what's your thinking about how to do that, given the rate of growth that you're experiencing?
So yeah, you're right. It is a lot easier when it's small. On our salespeople side of our kind of like sales academy side, it's also not too difficult because they're the leverage. They're one salesperson might have 100 clients that they speak to. They can manage those 100 clients. They can get feedback. They can have a human conversation in person on WhatsApp or whatever it is. And we just need to make sure that that salesperson is relaying that information back to us, back to our database in the easiest way possible. Or if there are any issues, they take it upon themselves personally to fix those issues. And so, therefore, we are leveraging out people in a scalable way that we are able to give that personal touch. Now on the more digital side, it's different. So if we're doing the more traditional online marketing through lead generation, that kind of stuff, it can be a bit more difficult because then we're relying on the actual customer or client to directly give us feedback, and not just when they're unhappy. People don't mind complaining, but when they are happy as well. And we're trying to get them to do that. And so what I've found is that AI is great for this, actually. AI is really good for this because you can capture people's intent, capture people's interest, capture people's general mood with AI that you can't really capture in like a pure data way with just me. One of the guys having feedback and not reporting it back in properly, we can't capture it. But when people use our AI chat in our app, for example, it picks up on sentiment of what
Yeah.
they're meaning. We're able to capture and put it into our database and keep it visual for individuals and for the overall. So I love capturing data and making the most of it. We can do that. If we keep, as long as we have the interest to do it, we can do it.
Yeah. And to what extent is the data that you capture, to what extent is that the core of the business?
Yeah, we're very data heavy. Um, my CTO has a master's in AI and machine learning. So for machine learning to even work, you need tons of data. Otherwise, it's a bit of a dead hole, really, a dead rabbit, really. So yeah, we are really, really data heavy. We the sometimes we're capturing we're not the personal data is a tiny minor thing, really. It's more about the choices that they're making is the data that we try to capture in our system and how they are relevant to each other so that we can, for example, with dynamic pricing, so that we can improve our pricing to be right for that type of use and that type of scenario. Ultimately, we're trying to increase sales and increase conversions, and making little changes based on machine learning is how we can do it.
Yeah. And will that is that the basis of your competitive advantage long term, do you think? I mean, a lot of people talk about the importance of data to the long-term future of their business. I mean, what's your take on that?
It's going to be, with a business, you're trying to build a defense. Almost every business is repeatable ultimately.
Mm.
It's your secret sauce you don't tell everyone is what makes it work or not. And I know that very well in business as well. And so, yeah, the data we're building is going to be, it's not going to be a defense against other people trying to do the same sort of business, but it's going to give us an advantage on
Mm.
us generating more money than they do, and them not being able to quite figure it out how we're making more money than them doing what might seem from the outside something similar.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, and I think AI. I mean, whichever way things shake down in terms of AI, it's going to make the next few years pretty exciting. I think because we're just in the early days of that. Is my
Yeah, big time.
Uh, Let me ask you about the journey that you've been on. I mean, when you look back on that journey, if you were to go right back to the beginning, is there anything that you do differently?
Um, well, I don't know. We one major decision that I made is that I incorporated in the US rather than incorporate in the UK,
Mm.
because I hadn't felt that as an entrepreneur, I'd ever had any kind of love, any kind of support business wise in the UK, and I couldn't see how I could either hear anything. I think I felt like it was getting worse, not better. So I incorporated in the US, as thousands and thousands of businesses do.
Mm. Yeah.
The downside of that is that if you're not going to be there sometimes in the US, you're not going to get the same benefits, especially if you're not an American as well.
Mm.
You're not going to get the same benefits, even though British founders 2.1%, sorry, 2.1 times more likely to make a unicorn when they incorporate in the US than an American is. But you're just not there with those foundations. And you spend a lot of money going there trying to get into those kind of investor markets as well. But so I felt like I was in between a bit of a rock and a hard place anyway. I didn't feel like I was getting any real support or investment here. Um, Not much different. there because of those changes. But more energy though, saying I did get more energy from Americans, I'd probably say as well. It's just that we didn't really we've never tried to open up the American market yet. We
Mm.
didn't have the product for it before, but we do now.
And is
Uh,
that on your agenda to go to the US in that sense?
yeah, we will. I had an American customer yesterday, and we haven't even been trying to do anything there as well. So I know there's demand. I've had a number of American customers about us trying to be honest with you, the amount of effort I put into America compared to the UK, we should might as well just fob off the UK and just go straight to America now because we seem to keep picking up customers there without trying. Whereas here we actually do need to try to get customers.
Yeah, it's funny that, isn't it? And what would you attribute your success to when you look back? What are the things that have really made a difference?
I think I try to just be honest and be real. That's one thing. Whenever I'm working with people, they know that there are probably better founders out there who can raise more money and have quicker successes. But I'm maybe I shouldn't speak for you, but I feel pretty strongly that people in my team, they kind of trust me with their life. They know that when you're working with Leroy, that you put effort in, you get money out. It's as simple as that. I've never tried to kind of be dishonest with anyone, move the goalposts of anyone. Whatever I say I'm going to do, I do. That's really, really important to me, and to be a man of my word as well. And it's less stressful as well when you're just an honest person with people that you've got to start thinking about what you said before. Everyone knows of me that you're gonna, whatever I say, you'll get is what you'll get. And you'll see me putting 110% effort constantly around the clock to make it happen as well. And I'm not going to quit. And so I think the people I work with, they know that. It makes them also work harder and work towards something. I like to make an environment where we all win together as well. So if I win, they win.
Mm.
And that's really important to me. I don't see myself as separate from the rest of the team. I don't see it as in this hierarchy. If there's me and you do what you're told, I don't do that ego stuff at all. I just see us as a team. As long as we work hard, work smart, we're going to crack this. And the thing with business is that any business can make a lot of money. Any business, whether you're selling onions or you're buying dolls. Like any business can make a lot of money. It's just your job to crack it, to figure out the angle and the details that make it work. And so we have this Rubik's Cube right now that's called Pidgey, and we're all shuffling it around. And sometimes we get all the yellows lined up and we all celebrate together and we all really enjoy it. And then we go on to work on the blue side. And that's what we're doing as a team at the moment.
Yeah. And what achievements are you most proud of? I mean, it sounds like there's been quite a lot of things, but what is the thing, again, when you look back on the journey, what's the thing that you're most proud of?
Well, I remember a long time ago, our first ever sale. That felt good. We celebrated that for about 5 minutes. Having our first ever sale to say that the system, in some sort of sense, it did work in some sort of sense, end to end. Um, we've got some really good guys on our team now. We've got
Yeah.
the former managing director of UPS on our team now. So having some people like that who, because like I said, I'm not a logistics person originally, so having someone who has the maximum amount of experience, and we've got a few people like that on our team now, just to come along and say, do you know what? This is exactly what needs to be built right now. Execute this, it will make billions. To have someone come along who's strictly from the industry and say that, and to back it with their time and their effort, day in, day out as well,
Yeah.
that means a lot to me. That tells us that we're on the right path as well.
Yeah. And has the experience changed you as a person? I mean, are you different now to the way you were a few years ago? I mean, a lot of people say when they come in from working in a big business to building a business, that it's a very different experience, requires different skills, needs an extra dose of resilience compared to working in a big company. I mean, what's your take on that, the impact of that on you as a person?
I think, if I'm honest, maybe the resilience, things being tough is my sweet spot anyway. I That's just where I like to exist. As I was saying before, the exit, my business partner I've made previously, we had been in, I'm not sure if it's probably tougher situations than being in with Pidgey now. Um, and we were really, really fighting for our lives to make it work. And when it suddenly clicked, like I said, we were actually upset about it. We're like abused people. We got so used to being in that highly stressed, tough survival mode that we took us time to break out of it. And maybe we haven't. That's why I've just gone back into it again. With the Stockholm syndrome I've got for the startup space. Yeah, this is my sweet spot.
Yeah. And what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given? I mean, I know you've got a lot of very experienced people on your board and stuff. I mean, what's the best, if you look back, what's the best bit of advice you've had?
Um, what to say to the right people. In this particular business, when it came to working with carriers, I didn't know uh, what to say. I was making it up and I was making that wrong. I didn't know what to say to speak in their language. And so when it was making things a little bit precarious for me. Whereas now, they've given me the inside line of that this is what's important to them.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's helped me for sure.
And what advice would you offer to a CEO starting out, a rookie CEO just starting out on a journey a bit like yours? I mean, what advice would you offer to people given your experiences?
Um, First of all, it's like, well, marriages end, but it's like a marriage. You don't start a marriage to get divorced. And it should be the same thing with a startup. If you're starting something and all you're thinking about is the exit, it's not going to work, realistically. You need to be thinking about how are you going to satisfy your customer. If I'm honest, that's the number one thing to think about. How are you going to satisfy your customer, and how are you going to distribute your idea to them as well? If you just focus on that, it will work out.
Yeah. Yeah. And one final question just before we wind up. I mean, what sort of exciting stuff have you got on the horizon that kind of motivates you going forward? I mean, you talked a lot about the things that you've done in the past. What's on the agenda for you going forward?
I'm really geeky, so I get excited about lots of tech type advancements that we make. I I was saying before about we need more data, and more data we get, the more dangerous we get, to be honest with you, with the machine learning stuff. Um, without giving too much away, but how easy it's going to become to sell anything to someone anywhere is going to be as simple as this. I need to, hey Pidgey, sell my painting called Hope to John in Australia, and it's just going to respond. It almost does it now, but it's just going to respond and say, "Okay, John from Melbourne. Okay, I'll send it now." And not only through our device, but through other Alexas and Google Homes and that kind of stuff. That's how fluid our system is going to be. It's going to take the minimum amount of words and effort, but behind it, lots of very complicated things are all happening, but you'll just be oblivious to it. That's how smooth we want to be.
I mean, I'm a great believer. If you want people to do stuff, make it easy for them. I mean, it seems to be a pretty good rule of thumb that.
Yeah, yeah.
Leroy, thank you. I mean, always a pleasure. Thank you for taking a bit of time to come and have a chat. I mean, I think it's an extraordinary proposition you're developing, actually, truly extraordinary. I mean, partly because I've tried to buy things abroad and not known how to do that, and like you, didn't as a
Yeah,
result. I mean, so it solves a really interesting and valuable problem for people. So I think it's a great proposition. So thank you for sharing that story. Absolutely fascinating, and let us know how you get on.
awesome. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, Leroy. Bye bye.